There is a solution for that is sponsored by VARC Solutions. VARC Solutions helps small businesses succeed by delivering expert QuickBooks bookkeeping, consulting, quick-base development, and integrated solutions. If you own a small to medium-sized business that uses QuickBooks or QuickBase, the experts at VARC Solutions can help. In business since 1999, with people who care and the knowledge and experience to solve your toughest problems. Visit varcsolutions.com for all your QuickBooks needs. Welcome back to another edition of There's a Solution for That, where we help small businesses succeed by discussing challenging business problems and best-in-class solutions. All right, welcome everybody to the next episode of There's a Solution for That. We've got a great guest on our show today, Neil Twa, co-founder, CEO, co-author of a great book that he's going to talk about a little bit later, but also he's the CEO of Voltage Holdings. We're going to be talking about sales secrets, getting on Amazon, a whole bunch of different topics. So Neil, just kind of introduce yourself and tell us who you are and why you're here.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, Brad. It's great to be here. Hope you're having a great morning. Everybody listening to this, hope you're having a great morning, day, evening, night, whenever you check this out. Well, in simple terms, I help entrepreneurs aspiring or those who are building companies in the e-commerce space or interested in doing that, take them through a series, a playbook of building through the 4 steps of building an e-commerce company, starting with Amazon and then moving into omni-channels and building out a holistic e-commerce company that we eventually want to sell in 3 to 5 years. So we need certain goals and metrics to be hit. And so we started doing this about 12 years ago when I launched my first brand on Amazon in about 2013. It took us about 2 years to get that to 7 figures in 2015. And once we kind of broke through that, it really kind of opened our eyes to the opportunity, the movement, the physical products and private label that we do. For brands that we create, they're trademarked and brand and IP registered. I don't flip products and don't wholesale and don't do that kind of stuff and retail arbitrage and whatnot. We build real brands with the companies we do, and so we got really good at it. And people were asking us for help, and so we helped some people, and they had some great success, and that just kind of helped us better define our playbook for the companies that we were building. We have 12 that we run now, another 12 that we control, and then we're in acquisitions for multiple companies right now that we are looking to close on, anywhere from 10 to 20 million in size. So we've been doing this for a while now. Fired the man in 2007, left my exec position at IBM, and set out here about 18 years ago now. If I'm doing math in my head, be careful. And set off on a series of businesses and created some offline and online businesses, high tech, lead gen marketing, mobile marketing, which kind of led me into the physical product world. Where I found my home. I love the idea of the digital connectivity of the virtual real estate to the physical actual product you get.
Yeah.
You can't see it over here, but there's a number of sample and prototypes setting in my office for products that we keep moving through the market. And it's just been a fun ride, and it's such a great business model. It allows me to be freed up. I'm a husband and a father.
Yep.
4 daughters. We live in the country on about 55 acres out here.
Oh, sweet.
I get to do life with my kids and my family, so kind of create a lifestyle by design, if you will,
Yeah.
which e-commerce allowed me to do.
Perfect. That's awesome. Speaking of acreage, having 55 acres of anything is kind of like the opposite of what I would like. Because all I can think of is like how much lawn mowing and maintenance I would have to do.
I have about
thing.
8 acres on top that I have to mow. It takes me about 5 hours, but everybody wants to find time to do things and whatnot. That's my nothing box time. I'll put on a podcast or I'll listen to music, and I put my earphones and headphones on so it's quiet. And I've got a really loud diesel mower that I have to, have a tractor with a brush hog and everything too.
Yeah.
But that's my time to just think and strategize and decompress for at least 4 or 5 hours per mow.
Oh, wow.
Have the benefits. You just have to.
That's awesome.
But
Well, so
go ahead. Sorry.
what's interesting about you and what you're doing is, to me, it's a little bit different than, really, quite frankly, anything I've ever heard before. I mean, people are trying to get online and sell stuff all the time.
Sure.
But I've not heard of folks like you that are not just assisting people with getting online, but with a long-term business strategy of growing and exiting a business.
Sure.
In fact, I would say for the businesses that we work with, if I talk to 100 of them, they're just trying to survive, right? They're just trying to get out there and make a business for themselves. They're not even
Sure.
thinking about the exit. I think it's awesome that you're starting with, let's build this with the goal of being able to exit. So That's pretty cool. Well, let's get into it. In fact, one of the first questions that I had for you, anybody that's in your position that's going to be going out and telling, instructing people, guiding people, it's probably because you've been there, done that. You've probably had a lot of success, which I know you have, but you've probably also had some failures too. I'm curious, just out of interest, like what was that first product that you went to market with? How did that go? And maybe what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, you learn through trial and error. You learn through failing up. That's been my life story. I dropped out of college. I went to school on a full ride music scholarship, and I was going to end up jokingly living in a van down by the river, which today would be super cool, but the internet wasn't online, and so that would have been a total failure. But I've chased the internet since then and just did things in that way. So it's been a series of opportunities and failures through that process. And I don't regret getting out of college. In fact, those who are in college right now who are not thinking about the seriousness of AI technology and its complete change to our market that's coming. It's not just right now, it's what we can see going forward would really, think differently. If I was in college right now, I would jump out the same way I jumped out back then when the internet first came online. That's how dramatic a change we're actually looking at. But, one of the things I think that most people miss when they hear a bit of the phrasing, they think course and program and hopium dealing, and they're just out there to take money and not let people have success. I went a different direction. I never took the course route with people, right? What I looked for was how do I put people in a position to be successful? I've had other people help me through my failures, put success forward by guiding me and directing me and coming alongside of me when I did stupid things that were mistakes that caused big problems, and I had to fix them. But I've come to learn that as a CEO, you're either working problems continuously in your business to solve them for yourself or others, or you're creating problems by making statements that force a new problem that requires a new solution, right? That requires
Mhm.
some kind of change and creation of opportunity.
Yeah.
And as I've come to understand that more and more, and the longer I've gone into business, the more I realize that what people really would like to see is somebody help them through the entire process, not necessarily do it for them. That seems
Yep.
too easy, and that's the wrong mindset. But like, come alongside me and see me do this. And as I hired employees, I found that really wasn't the best way to do that. As we had 12 employees at one point, many of them were just tied to the paycheck. I get it. So was I. That's why I left in 2007. I didn't want to be tied to the paycheck. I didn't want to be in a soulless corporation. I wanted to do things for myself. And I know a lot of people feel that way. They just don't know the plan. They don't understand the opportunity. They don't know what kind of time, energy, attention, and money to put into it. And I didn't know that either. And so I had to fail through multiple processes. Companies that failed even ended up going into bankruptcy at one point as a business decision in order to indemnify myself from some crap that was happening in a company, and had to restart my life and go
Yeah.
at it again.
Yeah.
So I've had a whole series of failures, right? But those are learning, those are experiences. If you're afraid to fail, you're never going to try, and I won't regret that. I'm not afraid of failure, right? I think a lot of people are. I see failure as the learning process that gets the experience, that gains the wisdom.
Yeah.
And having enough failures and restarts in my life, I know that that's how I do things to make that opportunity. But for others, what it really got down to, and this is my big, hairy capitalistic agenda. You ready for it?
Yeah.
If they're successful in their business, I will be successful in that venture too. And by that success, if they are willing to sell me their company, we all win.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I take a lot less people, like 300 in the last 6 years, who have worked with us one on one to go build their companies as opposed to 3,000 or 1,000 a month or whatever these other goals are that people have. It's been very strategic who I choose to work with to give them that opportunity to build an asset in 3 to 5 years. Like, what's my 5 year plan? People, it is to get people to a company that's a saleable asset so I can acquire it. So
Right.
we all win in that way, right? If they're willing to spend the time, energy, and attention, I'm taking ownership in their company as a part of what I do. I take ownership in it when I acquire it, right?
Okay.
And even then, it's a mission because the company and private equity group we put together is called Patriot Growth Capital. It is a veteran-backed, veteran-funded, veteran-supported initiative to put veterans into employment or positions of executive ownership of these companies when they work with us, right? So as we
So
acquire them, we put them involved, we involve them and their families in the companies.
yeah, I was going to say, so this is maybe a metaphor, but let me know if I'm on track on this.
Sure.
So it's almost like kind of like Shark Tank. It's like, hey, I'm trying to I'm going to invest in you or help you and work with you, but the ultimate goal is I'm going to take a percentage of the profit or the ownership at some point, so that you
Any
can
acquisition.
exit and cash out. But
Yeah, in the acquisition phase, not up till then. Up till then, they are their own owner. They need to have their back against the wall. I do have them make a buy-in because no one has ever been successful with the free programs I gave out.
yeah,
Not because they didn't, not because it wasn't good information, and not because I couldn't give you everything for free. There's just no drive if you have no skin in the game,
right,
right? So I make people put skin in the game because now they're willing to do the work, right?
right.
I've literally given away my program 5 times in 6 years for free, and only one person has had moderate success because they simply didn't put their activities in that. By proxy, those who paid to get in,
Yeah,
I've got multiple case studies of 7 and 8 and 9 figure earners who put their back against the wall, had some skin in the game, and have now got, and one of them is getting a $20 million offer on his business after 5 years.
that's awesome.
It is just a mindset of scarcity and abundance. It's a mindset, a change of thinking about, when you put things together, and you put effort into it, you take value in it, you take credit and confidence in yourself. And that is an unstoppable figure. So as those people become successful in that, what I did was instead of taking an employee mentality, I took a coach CEO level mentality with them and said, hey, you're running a company. I have another company I'm acquiring, or I'm going to build another company. Would you like to do some profit sharing with me in that company and come help me run it? So
Hmm.
I now have 5 operators who are doing that, who are
Right.
running the 12 companies that we own. And we're been building that process into the veteran framework now with the company we're about to close on. It's about a $8 million deal. It does about 12 million a year in revenue. We've got our
Mhm.
veterans set aside at different levels that are going to be employed into that business, and hopefully one of them will raise up to become the CEO in 5 years. There's a little war chest of profit in there, and they will be able to acquire the
Nice.
company away from us.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit, maybe a little bit more specifically on
Okay,
like the Amazon part of all this
sure,
stuff.
sure. It's a
Because I
sales channel.
think
Yeah.
if somebody's trying to sell online, right, there's Amazon, there's Shopify. I don't know if there's like Etsy. I
TikTok,
mean, there's
Walmart,
20.
Etsy. I mean, there's a million. There's different, so
So
many
as
places.
is part of what you do is helping people figure out what platform to be on, and maybe just talk a little bit about that. Like, what does that decision look like?
Yeah.
What do you look at when you're trying to figure out where to be and what products to sell?
I try to simplify it down to one platform, one offer, one first opportunity to get to your first 5, 6, 7 figures, and then from there, multi-channel into different locations. So I chose Amazon myself a long time ago. I had a friend that was like, "Hey, you should try Amazon FBA." I'm like, "What the heck is that? If it's anything like eBay, I don't want anything to do with it." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. They got their whole warehouse infrastructure. This fulfilled by Amazon thing is where they deliver the products to your house." And I'm like, "Okay, now I'm interested." So it turns out, Amazon bought a logistics freight management company and rebranded it to FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. And that's all the products that move to your and my house every time we click order and stuff shows up in 2 days or less, right?
Right.
And you're able to leverage that infrastructure, warehousing, and all that billions of dollars of stuff that I don't have to create, which creates a whole lot of automation. So with that comes the opportunity to develop these products, develop the brand, develop the marketing, and then develop it against the systems where there's an already in-demand product base. And that's why I like about Amazon and taking people who are new to the place to Amazon is because there's eyeballs on the offer, there's traffic. It's very difficult for most people to grapple the social media marketing paid traffic angle that websites and other traffic platforms that need traffic like a website, a Shopify, etc. To gain those sales, gain those visibilities, and gain momentum. So I take people to Amazon first because it's 5 billion impressions a month of people who are looking to buy something in 30 seconds or less, right? There's 6,000 transactions a second. It goes to 9 or 10,000 a second in the Prime days and holidays. There are only so many sellers per the amount of buyers. There's about 1.9 million sellers per the 5 billion impressions a month, which makes a huge opportunity for a lot of demand to be captured. And with that, it's a physical product based game, so we can develop the product into their infrastructure from our warehousing, let it be shipped, distributed, handled, managed, etc., and just focus on the development of the marketing and the brand, which really creates that opportunity and then leverages their traffic and customer base in order to make those sales. So I've
Yeah.
chosen that platform first. Once we incubate that, once we see that product going out in year one and year two and into year three, and it's growing bigger and bigger into market share, we'll look at putting up a website, like maybe a Shopify website. Usually we do that. And just those two channels right there can make a 7 figure exit. Okay. If it makes sense to take it to TikTok or Walmart or put it on QVC or take it out to retail, we'll look at all those options too. Each of them have different, cost to structures and opportunity costs. But really, just to focus on two channels of sales and become a functional expert is very important for most people to get, that concept down. So again, in
Okay.
simple terms, I take them to FBA first because, well, there's where's 49% of US based market share goes to Amazon to buy products.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let me ask you this. When it comes to what you've seen success at
Yeah.
versus maybe what you haven't seen success at, I think there's probably some people that they see the YouTube videos and they're like, oh, I could do that. I don't have a product, but I can go buy something from China and resell it. You know, a- is that quote unquote a good model, or is it more like, hey, I've already got a business, I already have a product, I just need a better marketplace to sell it on so that I can grow and accelerate my company's growth with an existing product with an existing customer base, but now I'm just trying to
Yeah.
widen the
Well,
field.
to
What do
kind of
you
answer
see?
that, I need to kind of answer the last part of your first question, which was the products we sell to in the starting block in 2013, et cetera. We don't sell now because as we've elevated the brands and realized Amazon's average order value per customer has increased in the last 10 years to $69. We no longer sell products sub $50. We
Hmm.
sell products that are $50 to $500 in retail price point.
Okay.
And we do that to move ourselves away from the CCCP crap. We call it the cheap Chinese crappy products. Okay. So it isn't just flipping products and throwing something from China at the wall because you're going to compete with all the other mid-level entry sellers and all the Chinese manufacturers and marketplaces that are trying to get on and sell their wares in that mosh pit of sellers, we call it, right?
Right.
And so I want to elevate myself into what we call the tier two, tier three. That's 50 to 150, 150 to 500 in range. And when I elevate myself, I'm actually getting more in line with the average order value of people who buy on Amazon.
Right.
They spend an average of 1,800 a year per person on Amazon. So I need to get products that elevate a price point where they will buy it once or to twice or buy additional products from me where I know they're already spending $1,800 in 12 months.
Hmm.
I want to try to get them to spend $1,800 with my brand. You see?
Yep.
So with that, I'm already moving myself out of that mosh pit and up to products and manufacturing and the quality of the products that is going to elevate me above that mosh pit. It's going to put me up in more of that tier two range.
Hmm.
So as I'm branding and looking at products, most of the stuff we started out with is not being sold product wise anymore. We have a phrase in our company, don't marry your product, steal somebody else's girlfriend instead, right?
Right.
Which basically means there is all this in-demand product that I can look at, and what I'm identifying is where is that one or top two brands that are up here, not the CCCP mosh pit that's sitting down there at the bottom, and can I directly compete with them on brand to brand competition? Okay,
Right.
come in near their price point, create a great listing, images, copy, graphics, etc. Because in truth, Brad, what are you actually buying when you hit add to cart on Amazon or any other platform? Are you buying the product you were holding in your hands, or are you buying the outcome of that product when it shows up?
Yep.
Right? So you're not actually buying the product. So product comes second to us. It's second not because it's a lower class or we take less time or we just flip crap from China. We
Hmm.
manufacture stuff from like 10 different locations around the world, not just China. Okay. It has to do with the fact that these are AI intelligent driven audience intersect large language models that are spending their entire time trying to put a group of people who want to buy something together with somebody who has something to sell.
Hmm.
And they're very good at it. They're better than we are now. So at the end of the day, I actually sell data to an AI engine. Okay. And it
Yep.
sells products and delivers them to the customer.
Okay.
So we have to invert this relationship because most people got it backwards. And having the Shark Tank idea, Kevin is a mentor and a friend of mine. He helped write the foreword to my book. I have seen that from the inside out, and really, that's the 1% or less than 1% of all people who create inventions. I've got inventions and patents that are super awesome that no one's ever going to hear of. But what I discovered was innovation. Okay. Innovation of in demand existing products usually means that in the data, and we developed a data process called Greenlight that helped us identify and now uses AI agents and tools to go out and build this analytical machine that literally tells me exactly what the customer need and customer intent is for Amazon's products. And I get Amazon's actual data now and combine that with my process so it's accurate 100%. It's like Jeff Bezos saying, hey, dude, go sell this product because there's only two people or one person here and there's nobody else with that competition, so go get it. And it may be a $159 product, and you're thinking, well, nobody wants to buy that. Well, guess what? They'll spend 1,000 people a month or more buy a $159 product or more. And it's the mindset that says, well, if I want to sell volume of products, then I need to sell in sub 20. Sure, but your profit might be $1.81 per unit, all said in net profit. I don't think that's sexy. I want minimum
Right.
$12 in net. I want 25. I want 100 in profit. So I
Right.
want to move and elevate to that profitability first and then meet that demand, right? Because there is a Coke setting in Amazon right now that doesn't have a Pepsi to compete with. And
Hmm.
there are millions of those. And when we discovered that, we literally have a pipeline of like 1,000 products going into all of our companies. And we're just going by customer need, customer intent, and profitability. And we're just test launching each of those products into the market. And when we hit the data correctly, when we literally get the copy and the system of Amazon, there's a data system, a filing system called Cosmo, right? And this AI intelligence engine looks at me and it looks at the Coke that's sitting in there and goes, hey, you look a lot like them. You priced like them. You look like them. You're branded like them. Your data looks like them. Let's find out if you are them. And if the answer becomes yes, then I go to the floor. I go get 1,000 units. I launch into a full brand launch and I go find out from, the ability to sell, sales fixes everything, into profitability projections on 1,000 units once I know that test works. And now I'm in the running for that product. From there on, it's a matter of how fast can I scale that product with inventory.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
data driven, all data driven, no emotions now,
So,
right?
so go back to the second part of the question, which was like, again, I'm a business owner, right? I've
Yep.
already got a business. Maybe it's a service-based business, maybe it's a product-based business,
Yes.
maybe it's
Thank
a
you
little
for
bit of
catching that.
both. And now I want to go online.
Two use cases I heard you say, right? And that is those who want to sell, aspiring entrepreneurs, or somebody who's like, hey, I think this might be something I'm interested in doing. And those who have an e-commerce business on a separate channel or one of the other channels. We do work with both of them. Here's how that would usually work. One, 12 months with somebody brand new, teaching them one-on-one how to go through the playbook using people, process, and technology that we give them to support that process of launching that brand and getting it to 5, 6, 7 figures within 36 months. Okay. And that's a process by which we do it repeatedly in our own products and brands. And I bring those folks in and train them how to become operators so they understand how to build a business with the end in mind, the fundamentals of creating the business, the e-commerce channel aspect of a company like this, managing product and pipeline and cash flow, moving it to 4 inventory turnovers a year, and how to get the manufacturing done and all aspects of it from end to end. And then there's those who are already done in that process in some way. Maybe they have a website, a Shopify or something, and they're already running in the DTC or direct to consumer world, but they're not on the Amazon platform. I will typically help them come to the Amazon platform. It's a complex machine now. There's harder barriers of entry to get on that platform for new individuals. The steps are more difficult. The barrier of entry is higher. So we would help them establish that Amazon channel. We've done this with a number of companies that tried it themselves and failed miserably when they hired us to help them get that channel unlocked. So if they've got
Yeah.
that existing brand and product, we're going to qualify it if they work with us to make sure that it is capable of meeting the market demand on Amazon, or they would need to change that product or adapt a new product in their market share, okay, within their brand to meet the demand that is currently on Amazon. Okay, it's not one size fits all. I know everybody wants it to sort of be plug and play. Well, I just take my Shopify and I throw it on Amazon. Well, no, that's not exactly how it works. So when we reverse engineer Amazon new products and incubations, we also look at the prime market channel of that product to ensure that when we do move it to a secondary channel, there's a market established in the other 51% for that product. Because a lot of times they don't cross over
Okay.
and people will
Well,
make that mistake.
so let me get you to talk a little bit about on the mistake side. So like,
Sure.
hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Maybe I've got a product or maybe I've got an idea for something that could sell. What would you say is maybe probably the most common mistake you see when people are trying to do it on their own, where failure is probably inevitable. Maybe they don't realize it yet, but it's
Mhm.
inevitable. Like, what would you say is the common causes for that type of failure?
Typically, they will order too much inventory of a product that does not have the right due diligence, market research, and the correct metrics to identify its success or its failure. They see failure as the entire business, not a single product.
Mm, hmm.
Okay. So if the product doesn't work, the whole business fails. So in my methodology, it is to deploy 5 products into the marketplace with 5 market tests of 100 units per market test. right? It's an investment strategy. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go to the market with this brand, one
It's
thing I'm going
it's
to
diversification basically.
it's diversification of saying, okay, here's five product types in this brand or even two brands, and I want to see what the market wants because I'm not smart enough to tell the market what it wants, but I am good enough to look at the data and say, the market wants this, I'm going to give it that. Right? It says this is what it wants. I think a lot of people come with a preconceived notion that they're part of that 1%. I need to invent something nobody has ever heard of in order to make $1 million in sales in e-commerce, and that's actually the myth, right? What it is there's existing demand for these products, and there are ways to outmarket and compete in them and make great money doing it. Okay. So those are, and the failure points will typically be not capitalizing enough, okay, or over capitalizing too much inventory that they literally marry. So they have to sell through it all in order to make it work. And then they try every trick and growth hack and jump on every webinar and try to do all these things to manipulate the engine. And they say things like, well, we need to get Amazon's engine to recognize us more. So we're going to do a bunch of social media stuff to try to get the Amazon engine to do things for us. And they've got it wrong there inside of Amazon's engine to begin with. And all they're doing is just throwing a lot of wasted time and energy in it. When Amazon wants to sell your product because it believes you're the better data set, it will sell your product for you. And then you got to get out of your own way because it'll move extremely fast. And there's where the inventory capitalization level of getting to 4 inventory turns every year becomes a thing most people don't get, understand, or realize the capital intensive nature of these kinds of businesses. Okay.
Yep.
So once I get going, I test that market, one or two of those products rises to the top. I got the right images, copies, and graphic. I got the right algorithm received. I was in the right market at the right time when I launched this product versus the other three. And now I know where to put my time, energy, attention, and money and focus it on those two products. Why? Because if those two products are doing great, there are hundreds of variations of those products. Kind of like Apple, we borrow from retail. Once I discover that product is doing great, I simply took more of that product in different packaging
Hmm.
inside of that brand and just follow that and give people more and more. Why? Because if they wanted the 1 cup, they'll want the 2 cups. If they wanted the black, they may want the white. If they wanted the large, they'll want the extra large. So
Right.
we simply just keep evolving that product line out and to capture more and more of that market. And someone comes in and was like, well, I wanted the extra large black. And oh, wait, they have a pink. I want that one too. Or I was looking for this one. Instead, I'll grab that one because I have it in my brand and they can get it. So
Yeah.
the failures to simplify this are expectations are out of a line. They're going to force their idea versus letting the market tell them what's available, what's high profit, what's high demand. They're going to undercapitalize because they're not aware because they've been listening or not paying attention to what it takes to build a business. Okay. And they will typically see product failures, okay, as a business failure instead of solving the product problem in your business
Hmm.
and working to figure out which one becomes your brand of products that you sell within it. They will see the failure as the steps that didn't make a perfect process to a perfect outcome,
Right.
right? They put too
Yeah.
much guarantee and hopium in it, and they've listened and bought into all the gurus, and they're not paying attention to how real business works.
Got it. Okay, great suggestions, great thoughts. There are actually a couple little questions that are kind of rattling in my head right now, and one is obviously with the last 8 to 12 months of tariff uncertainty. How have you seen that affect the business models at all, or have they? I mean, have you seen any impact on that?
Business has exploded. Yeah. There are now 300,000 in just the Amazon channel alone. I know this one easier because we have the numbers, but there are less 300,000 less sellers this year than there was a net gain last year.
Hmm.
The 5.2 billion impressions every month hasn't changed.
Hmm.
Say demand is still way up here,
So the
but
buyers
market
are still out
availability
there buying,
100%.
less sellers.
Yep.
Is that because people have gotten out because the costs have gotten up higher, or
Yeah, so a lot of those guys running at that razor thin margin line I was talking about a minute ago, who are just moving volume of units and vanity revenue, but not actually taking enough net profit to sustain their business. When the tariffs kicked in, they couldn't sustain it, so they were
yeah,
out of business. Those in the mid market who were like, well, do we buy, do we not buy? Tariffs are up, they're not down. They made knee-jerk bad business decisions and put themselves out of business.
mm,
Okay, the mid to high level companies decided to wait and see what would happen while they could order, they didn't order, and because they got behind, so they went out of stock.
mm-hmm,
When they went out of stock, it takes them up to 20 to 45 days to 60 to 90, depending upon the kinds of products they have to manufacture, put on the water, and get in stock, and they lost their market share.
yeah,
So those of us who were patient and calm and waited the storm and didn't knee-jerk react like you would in business and waited to see what was happening. Those of us who had enough profit in both the business and the products to sustain tariff changes, we just waited it out. And guess what happened? Market share for us went up. Like it went up dramatically. And so
Interesting.
because there's huge holes left, there's basically an opportunity I haven't seen since 2013, right?
Wow.
For products and opportunities where there are giant holes now where we can literally go in. So we're deploying millions of dollars into 12 new product launches right now for the fourth quarter to fill those holes. It's slingshotting us into 2026 because this opportunity is huge and it'll last for about the next 6 to 12 months. And then it'll sort of close that door again because people missed it. So tariffs have been a wonderful thing for the physical product business
Interesting.
for some folks and terrible for others. Now, here's the thing, Brad. Most people didn't get this, and I'll explain why it changed and why we were so calm when others panicked.
Yeah.
Okay. 2020. Everybody knows sort of what was going on there, right? But they don't know what happened in 2019 and they weren't paying attention to what happened in 2021. Okay. Those of us on the ground in the physical product world saw 40-foot containers of our product at $4,800 per container December 2019 jump in February of 2020 to 25,000 per container. Now,
Mm.
compare that to the tariff situation that just happened. Okay. Containers doubled from 4,800 to 9,800. Okay. A couple of them went up to 12 grand and then they went back down again within
Hmm.
like 30 days. Okay. Not 25,000. You
Right.
see this?
Yep.
So everyone else was very focused on all this stuff. What did we see in that first 3 months of 2020? We saw 10 years of growth. We saw hyper growth. We saw a mass market adoption through 2021, greater than any time that since the internet came on online. Okay. Mobile phone purchases overtook desktop during that time frame. So we moved into a whole segment that most people weren't paying attention to because they were dealing with all the other crap, which was
Right.
terrible.
Yeah.
But we were dealing with the business side of it too. And to keep that sustainability in 23 and 24 and now 25, we have seen that shift come back around and that slingshot effect occur. And so it's literally pushed this whole market just through the roof because now people are ordering on their mobile phones every few seconds.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, I guess it's almost it's a little bit like the stock market, right? I mean, the
A
stock
little bit.
markets go way up and they go way
Yep.
down. You're going to have those
Panic
corrections.
sell. Yep.
And if you're overreacting to the massive ups and downs,
Yeah.
you can't time it. You're going to lose.
That's right.
And so being able to be calm when it's going up and down, being
It's
thoughtful.
experience talking, right? And we paused a lot of our people and said, "Hey, just chill."
Yeah.
You know, every week we have a call on Wednesday for 2 hours, and for the better part of a month, every week was, this is what you're doing. Stay the course. Don't panic. Keep your orders up. This is your chance to double down on your orders, right? And most of our people listen to us,
Hmm.
which is awesome. And now they're reaping the benefits of it, right? Because they stayed calm and now they've taken over market share. The market share was just given to them, right? Because people fell out of the market and
Yeah.
they were there and they overtook that. And guess what? It's very hard for those other companies to come back and take that market share back.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah, and
awesome.
there's huge opportunity. And just gets down to the components of the process, right? We've talked a little bit about, the conditioning of a product really comes down to look at the data and determine what I can sell within a brand and do not put myself in the position of forcing the product or brand to market.
Hmm.
Okay. We're not Elon Musk. None of us are really at the end of the day. But we can see the market and see what it does. Do not marry your product at all. Products have a life cycle. They move into a brand. Brands live on forever. You know about Ferrari from the back old days. We know about Lucky Strikes, but we can't even name all the different products that went in that because we know the brands. Brands live forever. Products have a life cycle. That's the way they
Right.
work. Okay. And they serve a purpose. Okay. They serve a purpose to drive people in and build the emotional connectivity. We've talked about the profit. We must maintain net profitability and run the business not by gut feel, but by the numbers. Okay. By the numbers for us means more than $12 in net profit per unit. Everything else doesn't matter. If I can get 24 or $48 in net profit and compete in a market against brand, I simply have more profitability for myself, my marketing, my competition, my ability to take over market share. It's very important we run the business with profit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the biggest factor in deciding the success. My companies have a minimum of 20% net profit target in them. Okay. We don't sell products that would drop that below 20%. Right. The other thing we talked about is this giant system, the virility, the system, the AI, the technology, the amount of traffic that is now moving online in the last 10 years is extreme. It has just gone to levels I can't even possibly imagine where the internet was going at that point when it started. And now it's just literally so many people online, so much buying so many things that most people can't quite fathom the amount of traffic and purchases that are actually happening. If you stop and really heard what I said, 6,000 units are moving a minute. It's a
Yeah.
miracle the dang thing even works, right?
Well, I know half of those are me because I'm on Amazon all day long.
Well,
So I know
it's
at
my
least half
wife.
of those are mine.
Yeah, it's my wife too, ordering stuff for the kids and the homeschool. In fact, I think Amazon called her 45 minutes ago because she hadn't ordered something in 45 minutes. And they're like, "Are
It's
you
like, are
taking
you
this as
okay?
well? Are you
Are
all
you
right?
okay?
You haven't bought something in 45 minutes." Okay. Because it happens and y'all you are doing it too, right?
Yeah.
And so just it's a system, it's an operation. It's so large and it's fast. Most people don't recognize the abundance of product opportunity and purchases that are out there. They come with a limiting scarcity belief, and I have to work them through that process by showing them the first product success and the second product, and maybe the third product fails, and that's okay. Here's what you did wrong. Fix this. Test launch the fourth product. And as they go through that learn and earn period, they start to realize, oh my gosh, there's like so much here. I can't even possibly imagine how much it is. And the last thing we talked a little bit about to some degree was the exit, right? Building the business from the beginning with the exit in mind. It is worth more in the end than at any time during the business building phase. There are people lined up to buy these companies. We are lined up to buy these companies. You're building an asset class for yourself, your family. Possible generational time and wealth freedom can come out of that. Huge opportunities to work with folks. And to build great brands and businesses are the opportunity. You're not just hedging time with a side hustle or some hobby business. You're building an asset, right? These are intrinsic valued asset products with physical inventory,
Yep.
right? These companies are worth a lot, right? You have to think about putting that time and energy in the first, you know, 1, 2, 3 years to build these companies so that when you get to years 4 and 5, you can literally live like nobody else can. And then when you continue that process, you'll just discover more and more products and brands. And I'll be doing this for the next 20 years, literally, because it's so much fun to build new products.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and of course, it's business. So if you
Absolutely.
like business, it's fun. So
Yep.
let me ask you this: in terms of the folks that you like to work with,
Yes.
that you hope are the ones that are going to call you and email you. Here's kind of a sort of a theoretical question. Do you like folks that have really no preconceived idea of what could be possible, what could be sold? Like they don't have a specific product in mind. They just know that they want to get in this market and do something versus somebody that like I'll use an example. Okay, I'm a plumber. I've been doing plumbing for 20 years. I know the tricks. I know what works. I know the products that work. I know that this specific thing, I use it all the time. It's a great thing. I tell homeowners how to use it. I'm an expert in plumbing. So what I want to do is I want to go build an online e-commerce business that sells plumbing related products. Okay, do you have a preference? Like, do you want
I
somebody that
do.
comes to you with that industry experience that knows products? I mean, tell
I
sort of.
don't actually, because what will happen is they'll convolute the data that I show them that is accurate and true to the system, and then they will question its reality and its truth when I already know it's true.
Mhm.
So I prefer people who come as a blank slate, right?
Interesting. Okay.
They come with a willingness to learn. They come with an ability to manage the emotional cycle of change that occurs in any new business venture. It goes up, I'm excited, I get going, I run into a few problems, and they stay hopefully out of the valley of despair.
Hmm.
Those who are not structurally, mentally capable of withstanding that through any challenges they've had in their life, I will typically stand away from them because I don't want them to fail on their dime and my time because it will make a bad experience and end up in bad reviews. What I look for is folks who are already somewhat risk adverse in life because they've done investments, they've built into things, have had experience building a business of some kind, or they've done investments of some kind, they've risked some capital. And when I say, look, it takes you 50 to 100K year one minimum to get started, grow this business, and then capitalize that, in year two for another 250 and maybe 500,000 in year three through the business to really see this thing turn into a juggernaut. They don't balk at that, right? They know business at a certain level, even if they've never done e-commerce,
Right.
right? And they want to learn the channel, the understanding in the business. And at the end, a fundamental of a business that runs real estate versus e-commerce is profit and loss. There are just different mechanisms that we use, different channels we use to deploy that in, which means we have to learn how that works, right? But
Yep.
in the end, we're talking about profit and loss. So those who have some of that business experience in some way, shape, or form, an investment, a strategy, they looked at franchise, maybe they own them, or they're, higher income earners who are not as risk adverse to starting a business and can have the chops to really stay in the business long enough to see it become successful, those are typically the people I look to work with because they're more even keeled. They will not enter that valley of despair when they run into some problems. They will see challenges as opportunities. They will see problems as things to solve. And they know that if they work the process, they can see themselves through the success because they've done it in other ways. They're not
Right.
looking at me as some sort of life coach, right? They're looking at me as their guidance. They're looking at my partner and my team that works with us and saying, okay, I want to do what you do. And in time, I know I can do it. And just show me how to do it,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
those are the folks that, again, I'm not a life coach, right? I'm not here to coddle people and say,
You're
well,
not
no,
therapist.
no, I'm not like, okay, the amount of people who spent $1,000 to make a seven-figure company, I could count on my hand in 18 years,
Uh-huh.
right? Is not the way things normally work, right? You have to deploy capital to build a business. You have to buy inventory in a physical product business. These are real things that not everybody likes to hear about. It doesn't mean they're any less true, right?
Yep.
And when I do talk to those people, they understand those things. Their question is, what's the playbook? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there?
Right.
And that's what we typically look for in the individuals that come to work with us. And I am selective about it because they talk to me. I don't have a sales team. I'm not closing 100 people a month and looking to make a 100 billionaires and all this other
Right.
BS crap you hear on the internet, right? I only want to work with the people I know that can sustain themselves in business and in 3 to 5 years build a real asset.
Okay. Well, and I assume again, I try to question my own assumptions. So this is
Hmm.
me questioning my own assumptions.
Sure.
I would assume that, especially since you're talking about building a brand, unless you're GM and you sell everything, sorry, GE, whatever it is, um, maybe I'm trying to build a brand that specializes in health, healthcare or personal fitness, personal wellness,
You're on that track already.
right?
Hmm.
So do you tend to say, let's try to identify a part of the market that you can build a brand about,
If
so
they
it's not
come
just
with
like,
some of that built in before they reach me, we're going to look at it and say, okay, let's go
yeah,
into the tools, let's go into the data, let's go into the market research and say, what are the products that are meeting the demand for people who are within your niche?
right,
And let's identify those products because there's probably something in there you haven't thought of, or there's something you thought would work, but it's not going to either be profitable enough or doesn't make sense. So let's look at qualifying or disqualifying that. And so, absolutely, yes, to the answer, if that person comes willing to look at the data and willing to look at the market and say, you know what, this is where I'm at, this is what I know, here's what I don't know. And if you can help me fill the gap in that to become more successful, I'm all here for it.
right,
What I don't want, and I've had this before, is people come to me and be like, I have to sell this product. This is all I'm going to sell. And like, it doesn't fit on Amazon. They're like, well, we want to make it fit. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not
okay,
a good fit for you. I'm not a
yeah,
good fit for helping you fail at something I know isn't going to work.
awesome, awesome. Well, hey, Neil, this has been great. I mean,
Thanks,
I
Brad.
feel like I've learned some things, and so obviously you're an expert at this, and so for the folks that are listening, watching, and they're like, this sounds interesting. I'd like to
Sure.
learn a little bit more about that. I know you've got a book, so tell people about your book, and then how do they get a hold of you if they wanted to maybe
Yeah.
talk about building a business together?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. Just a couple minutes on that. So the book is called Almost Automated Income with FBA. You can check it out on my website at voltagedm.com, voltagedm.com, or go to Amazon and just type in Almost Automated Income. You'll find it there as well. It's a strategy guide that employs the 5 steps we talked about. It goes through 15 different podcast interviews with individuals that came on my podcast specific to the topics of expertise that build out the framework of a company that goes from zero to hero to exit, right? And so that is all ingrained with knowledge and expertise, case studies, worksheets, and resources. Kevin Harrington wrote the foreword, who's a mentor for mine and is part of our what we call our As Seen on TV strategy. Our first product was actually discovered from an infomercial and did really well. We ended up selling that company. But the other aspect of that is social media. I'm on there. My last name is Twa. You won't miss me. Voltage is out there. Check out the podcast at High Voltage Business Builders if you want to catch up on some of those episodes and learn some more about the industry and business that we do.
Okay.
And of course, if you decide that you're interested and want to learn more, you will speak with me. Those links and information are on my website, and we can have a conversation, a simple, no pressure discovery call to
Yep.
see if it's a good fit for both of us.
Okay. So Neil Twa, TWA.
Mhm.
And what was the book title again? Just for
Almost Automated Income with FBA.
Almost Automated Income with
Yep.
FB&A. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And so on your book, I know you've done a special offer specifically for our listeners. So
Yes, sir.
They reach out to you with offer code VARC, I believe, VARC.
Actually, go to the website, voltagedm.com/free book. It should be in the show notes below. And then
Okay.
there's a special code that you have there within the notes that will give them a copy. For the first 10 people that want to get a free copy, they're welcome to
Okay.
grab one.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom. And, quite frankly, as a business owner, our goal is to support businesses that are trying to grow. As I mentioned on multiple podcasts, we help folks with like bookkeeping and QuickBooks consulting and things like that. So I'm more on the business accounting side, counting the money and making sure.
Mhm.
But we're very aligned in the respect that, we're trying to help our businesses and our clients grow.
Excellent.
You're trying to help the people you partner with grow their business, be profitable, and then plan for a successful exit. So I
Correct.
really appreciate you sharing your wisdom, because I think that is a problem that a lot of business owners that are trying to solve. How do I grow
Yes.
profitably? How do I not just waste time, but actually, do something that's creating value out in the world? And so again, just appreciate you being on the show.
Wonderful, Brad. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, sir.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's watching along, again, hope this is helpful to you. If you want to get a hold of Neil and you didn't catch all that, let me know and we'll put you in contact with him so you can do a follow up. And keep listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
There is a solution for that is produced by VARC Solutions. This episode was produced by Ashley White and Aaron Riley. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Watch the video version on youtube.com/there's a solution for that. Or visit varcsolutions.com/podcast, where you'll find our entire podcast archive, as well as show notes, links to solution providers, and complete transcripts of every episode. If you love the podcast, please leave a review with your comments.